Okay, what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go through the grades menu, the setup of the grades, and how they function in D2L. Okay, so I'm going to select the grades menu. What happens is you get various things to your screen. You might be in an enter grade section. You might be at the setup wizard. Okay, I've pre-programmed this a little bit, but we can go through it. The first thing I do is I change the settings. So I go in the settings and I scroll all the way to the bottom, and the default menu is into entering grades. I change the default menu, and what I mean by the menu is as soon as you click the grades icon in your navigation bar, this will go to the manage grades options instead of the enter grades. I find this to be easier for you because that way it allows you to manipulate the grade right away instead of going to the enter grade section. This is what the manage grade section looks like. I'm going to select the setup wizard and we're going to go through the setup wizard. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to select the start. Okay. Step one of the setup wizard is choosing the grading system. We are a weighted based curriculum. Okay. So we assign categories such as knowledge and understanding, application, and we assign weights to those categories. So that's why we're a weighted grading system. And we collect, continue, and then go. Okay. I select final adjusted grade here in the final grade release. The reason being is that allows me to manipulate grades at the end of the semester and sporadically through the course of the semester if I would like. And what I mean by manipulate is include assignments for certain kids, maybe not include them for others because there's reasons, but it allows me to manipulate it. If you have the calculated final grade, this is using everything that is in your gradebook, okay? This uses whatever you would like. This uses the entire thing, okay? This option only comes available if you manipulate the system in another way, and I don't think you need to do that, okay? So adjusted final grade, and on, we're gonna go to continue. The grade calculations, treat ungraded items 0, okay? I select this because then it gives you a more realistic option of where the kid currently is at that point in the semester. If you drop them, their mark could be inflated. So there may be a false sense of security there. Okay, so I treat ungraded items as 0, and then I automatically keep the final grade updated. Continuing along here, this asks us what we want to do, if we want to use levels, letter grades, or percentage. Since we give percentages on the report cards, that's why I select percentages here. Continue. The number of decimal places to display, I change this to 0. The reason I change it to 0 is we round in our grades as well. So there's no point having 1 or 2 decimal spots. In my opinion, you can if you wish, but that's why I choose 0. Continuing along, this is what the students see, okay? I keep points grade, grade scheme, symbol, and grade scheme color checked. I uncheck the weighted grade. I uncheck the weighted grade because a lot of students don't understand the weighted grade, so that's why I do it. It's just less confusing. I keep these two checked at the bottom because then it allows the program to display their overall percentage. For some reason, if these aren't checked, it doesn't allow you to do that. So that's why I keep these checked. Again, I display 0 decimal spots, the number of characters to display for text items. This is relevant to me. I keep it at 15. And then I choose to display the final grade calculations to users. What this means is, are you displaying their overall percentage at the point where you calculate the grades? Okay. I'm going to select continue. This will give you a summary here, okay, of everything that you've done, and we are good to go. So we're going to press finish. When we press finish, this takes us to this item here, okay? Now we need to set up our gradebook. So we need to first probably set up the categories. So we're going to create a new grade category. What we mean by categories is we mean the categories that you're going to use for your marking scheme, such as knowledge and understanding, or application, or assignments, or discussions, or however you choose to outline your grades, okay? Term work, some people use. Summative activities, we all use. So I'm not telling you what categories that you should use. I'm just going to use some generic categories here to set up the menu. So I'm going to put discussions. The reason I put discussions is I use discussions a lot here, so I rank them there. This can be used as communication. Moving down, the weight is the weight you want the overall category to be. Okay, remember the weight has to add up to 100. So depending on where you start, this is what's going on here. Okay, now in your distribution, manually assign weight to items in the category. So that means if whatever you put there, so however many discussions that you put in, you would have to manually assign the weight of each discussion. So if you want one discussion to be worth 20% of the overall discussion mark, you would have to put that. If you want it to be 15, 10, whatever the number is, you would have to do that. If you select distribute weights by points across all items in a category, that means that based upon how much the item you put in this category is worth, it will shift the weights that way. For example, because we're in discussions, if you have one discussion that's worth 20 marks and one discussion that's worth 10, if you select this, the program will automatically make the discussion worth 20 more than the discussion that is worth 10. Okay, this is the one that I used. You can change it as you go. So if you don't like the way it's going, you can change this as you go. This isn't a thou shalt make it right here. Okay. If you would like, you could display the class average. You could display the distribution. Okay. I don't use these two. I just let it go. Okay. Now, you could save and new. That would mean you would save this category and create another category. I'm going to currently save and close here. And the reason I'm going to save and close is you're going to get error messages up here potentially. So this says the final calculated grade sums to 10%, not 100. So what this is telling you is you only have 10% of a weight in here. So you have to get it to 100 before these error messages will go away. Okay, you don't have to do it right away, but you can do it at any point. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to create more categories. Let's say we're going to do knowledge. Okay. We're going to put knowledge at, let's put it to 25. Okay. And I'm going to distribute it here. We're going to do save and new because I'm going to put a new category. Let's say we put application. Now again, you can put whatever you want. I'm just using generic ones here to prove that we have to get it to 100 and then to do it so that you know exactly what it looks like when it's completely set up. I'm going to distribute it here. I'm going to save and new. Okay. I'm going to put thinking, or I'm going to put inquiry. All right, I'm going to keep this at 10. I'm going to save and new. I'm going to put summative activities. I'm going to make this 30. And I'm going to distribute it by weight. And now I can save and close because I believe I got to 100. Yep. So now the error message is gone because we have the 100% added up. So I got discussions, knowledge, application, inquiry. However you select these and await them, is dependent upon the teacher and sometimes the course. Okay, so I'm not telling you it should be this. I'm just doing a demonstration. So these are the categories that are set up. Now we're going to put a new item. So your item would be your assignments. Okay, so you can create them as you go. You can create them all ahead of time. You can create them in this window. You can create them in other windows as well. Traditionally, we use numeric because we give something a point system. So I'm going to use numeric for this example. I'm going to put discussion 1 sample discussion. Okay? So they're going to ask you to put the category. You should categorize every item, because if you don't categorize every item, the program isn't going to know where to put it. So I'm going to put this in my discussions, okay? And I'm going to keep it at 10 points. This is the automatic thing that we go there. You don't have to put the weight in this instance, because we chose distribute weights by points across each category, so that we'll do this. We're a percentage scheme. If you wanted to put a rubric onto something, you could add it from the list, or you could create a rubric in a new window, okay? And I'm going to save and close. And right now we have this discussion 1, and right now discussion 1 is worth 100% of your discussion mark, okay? The reason being, you only have one discussion in here. If we created another one, so we're going to create another item, numeric. Let's go with discussion 2. Okay. Introductory discussion. Okay. We're going to put the category, we'll put discussions. I'm going to bump this up to 20. Okay. I'm going to keep everything the same. Now, there's also other things that you can do. Notice there's restrictions up here. So if you go into the restrictions, this is automatically viewable to the students. If you want to hide it from the students, you would just click this, and you can do it in here. You could have it an end date if you would like, meaning that you can't get a mark for it after a specific date, and you could display it in the calendar if you wish, okay? Then the calendar is on our homepage. We've done that before. I'm going to save and close this. And now, if you notice, we have 2 things now in here. One's worth 10, one's worth 20. And the way the program does it, like I said earlier, you have the 10 being worth half of the 20. Okay? That's how you set up marks. Now, these are both visible to the students. So if you haven't marked everything yet, maybe you don't want to make it visible. Each of these things have a drop-down menu beside it, and you can hide it from the user, okay? And then they wouldn't be able to see it. This is how you would enter grades as well, okay? I can't enter grades here because I don't have a class list in what we're doing. But that's how you set up grades. Now, I'm going to take you quickly to another course. So I'm going to take you to another course. I'm going to take you to my course here, and I'm going to take you into the grades. My grades are kind of set up. So let's say now we want to display the grades to the users, and we want to calculate grades, okay? So down here at the bottom, we've marked, let's say we've marked something. We've marked discussion 1 a little about me. So we're going to go down to the bottom here, and we're going to go to final adjusted grade, and I'm going to enter grades, okay? In this, if you notice, I haven't done any calculations. So this would be the first calculation I have in the course. If you want the students to be able to see their grades, you have to release their grades. Okay? So you could do that by clicking here. That would highlight all the kids, check all the kids, and you could press release and it will release their grades, or you could unrelease their grades. Okay? Now, calculating their grades, you can do it one of 2 ways. If you want to do it as a whole, what you can do is you can hit the drop down menu and you can recalculate all. Okay? That means you're going to calculate the grade for each of the students. Then what happens is you might get a final adjusted, or you get a final calculated grade depending on what you've selected. If you get that, then you should select final adjusted. And then what you do is you get your list. And this is the list of everything that you've put in your grades. Mine's obviously different than yours because I've built this. And you can go ahead and you can click what amount of things you want to be included from wherever. Okay? And then you would click calculate, and it's going to ask you if that's what you want to do. And it's going to say this action can't be undone, which is fine because you can recalculate the grades at any point. I'm not going to choose to do that right now. Okay? But that's how you would go ahead and that's how you would calculate the student's grades. Then what you will be able to do is you'll be able to see now, I'm going to take you to a different course. I'm going to show you what the kids see. Okay. So if you were a student, I've started a course. We haven't really done much yet. But I have marked something. So as a student, I'm viewing as the student right now. When I go into the grades, this is what the student sees. Okay. So these are the things that I've marked to date, some very introductory things. They get their mark per thing on the point system, okay? Up here is their overall grade in the course. So that's what's very important to them. I tell them to worry about this thing the most because that's what would be put on their report card. Now, this is the grade color scheme and the grade symbol that we had to keep in there. These had to be kept in order for this to show up. So that's why I select those. Now, kids get confused because they'll be like, Mr. Roy, I have 100% on every discussion, but it says I only have 38% in the discussion. That's because at this point in the course, we've only completed 38% of the amount of discussions that we will do. That's what that means. But I always tell kids to worry about the number up at the top here, okay? I make things visible as I mark them. So as they become visible, if they don't have a mark, that means it has not been submitted, okay? You can add items from drop boxes. You can evaluate all sorts of different ways, but that's how you set up and navigate your grades menu, okay? The categories that you use are up to you. Obviously, it's your own individual course, okay? If you have error messages, it's usually because something doesn't add to 100%. And that's how you would calculate the grades, going through final adjusted grade and calculating them, okay? On a last thing, before I started using this, I was apprehensive about switching my grading method. So right as MarkBook was getting phased out, I was concerned about the grading system. So what I chose to do is for one entire year, I used both MarkBook and D2L to calculate my grades. D2L spit out the exact same grade down to the rounded percentage that MarkBook did. And ever since then, I've never used MarkBook or any other grading system again. It's also good because the kids constantly see their grades, so you never have to post anything in the grades menu, and they also only see their grade, so you don't have to worry about any privacy concerns about posting grades. Okay? So that's the little grades and marks tutorial in D2L. As always, if you have any questions, let me know.